Good evening. It's loud. All right, we're going to call the meeting to order, Governing Board meeting, June 24th. It is 6:31. Lisa, roll call. Present.
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 Great. And with that, we're going to stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Rhonda, would you please lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Adoption of the agenda. Do I have any amendments or motions?
Yeah, to remove the minutes from the consent.
Okay, so we'll move the minutes from the consent and put it right at the first one. Okay.
So 6C?
6C.
Okay.
Any other amendments?
No.
Motions?
Motion to approve as amended, putting 6C into action items?
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. And we're at the call to the public. I do not have any cards, so we will go ahead and move on. Superintendent's report. Dr. Chestnut.
Thank you, President Petray, members of the Governing Board. Few things to report on tonight, starting with a great picture from graduation night. The drone, owned by the City of Maricopa, was very much a presence at that event and took about 10 minutes of really great video, which we hope to show you at a future meeting, but took some great still shots also, and that footage will be used in promotional materials for the City of Maricopa, and the segment that they are working on with the marketing firm will highlight public education in the City of Maricopa. So it should be a very cool video that we'll have eventually to show you. And it was great, greatly appreciated by Ruben from the City of Maricopa that actually just came and did that for us that night. Well, congratulations to new MUSD Governing Board member Rhonda Melvin, and who is now officially sworn in. Welcome, Rhonda. It's great to have you. And most importantly, we have a goodie bag here for you.
That's right.
And it has lots of good Maricopa High School stuff, including a foam finger saying we're number one. And so we are very proud to have you on the Governing Board. Also, congratulations to new Maricopa High School principal Renita Myers. Press release went out a couple of weeks ago, but Renita Myers will be the new principal. We're very excited to have her in that position. She was a Spanish teacher at Maricopa High School for a number of years. She was an assistant principal for 2 years, and then this last year was her first year as principal at Desert Wind Middle School. So we're very excited to have Renita step into that role officially on July 1, but I know the transition is already well underway, and she's jumping in with both feet, and we're very excited to have her there. And then congratulations to new Desert Wind Middle School principal June Celaya. So they're switching positions, kind of an unusual thing, doesn't happen all the time, but June started her teaching career at the middle school level, and we've talked off and on the last 3 years really about this possibility, and we decided it was time to make this change. So we're excited about it. We think it'll be good for both schools, and two good principals that will continue to do good work in new roles. On that general subject, tomorrow we will have Maricopa High School assistant principal interviews. So Renita Myers will be leading that process. Because Krista Barrett, who happens to still be on the payroll and sitting in the back row, is leaving us, and we hate to see Krista go, but we accepted her resignation 2 weeks ago, and so we have to fill that position. Big shoes to fill, but we have some good candidates, and we'll be interviewing most of the day tomorrow. I'm going to be on that interview team. Renita Myers will be leading that process, and we hope to have a name to bring to you at our next governing board meeting. And then on that general subject of filling positions, we still have a large number of positions open. And believe it or not, this is typical for us. Last year we had a few less open at this time of year. I believe we had about 14, somewhere in there. 2 years ago we had more than this open. And the good news is we generally fill almost all of them. I don't believe in any of the last 3 years we've filled every position. But I did want to take advantage of free television time to get the word out there that we are looking for teachers, and we're very serious about that. And so just to start from the top, we don't have a new school called Shared Elementary, but we do have the need for 2 elective teachers, and they work at all 6 elementary schools, and there's a schedule, and they rotate around. So those are shared positions. We were able to add 2 or 3 new elective teachers this past year, and it worked well for us. We want to continue that. Butterfield Elementary is looking for 5th grade. Maricopa Elementary is looking for a special ed life skills position. Pima Butte and Saddleback Elementary are fully staffed at this time. At Santa Cruz Elementary, we're looking for 4th grade and a special ed resource position, which is half-time there, and then that position will be half-time at Santa Rosa Elementary. And Santa Rosa is also looking for a 2nd grade position. Desert Wind Middle School is looking for a science and art position. Maricopa Wells Middle School looking for science, special ed life skills. Maricopa High School, a chem physics teacher, a history teacher, PE, math, special ed life skills, a total of 16 on this list. I know that there are a few candidates that are in the process of being interviewed, and we just haven't got them signed on the dotted line. So this hopefully will continue to get better day by day. And I know that the governing board is not allowed to ask questions, and we can't really go into detail during my report, but during the personnel adoption of the personnel agenda, when Mr. Beckett comes up, if you have further questions, I know he's happy to talk about this. I think we've had a good plan this year to recruit, and the fact is we just have a very competitive environment for teachers in the state of Arizona. And we know that we lose some people just through normal attrition reasons, retirement, or our spouse relocates, but we also know that a large percentage of our staff lives in the East Valley, and they often take positions up there where they have a shorter commute and that kind of thing. So we will continue to work on this and keep you posted, and we're gonna hope for the best. Mr. Beckett is working on several things right now to fill these positions. I want to let you know that tomorrow night, the Maricopa Republican Club at 7 p.m. at the Villages Clubhouse, I will be there giving an update on school district, and I go about once a year and give my annual report, so that's always fun to do that. They invited me to do that. And that's all I have to report at this time. Just to remind Christian in the back, since we didn't talk about it, so the rest of those slides are for the budget discussion. So thanks, Christian.
I wanted to remind the board and also anybody out in the public, I did forward it to Dr. Chestnut and the Education Foundation, but there is a webinar talking about the bonds and overrides and how to go about it and how to have a community input and have the community involved in that. So you can access that webinar by going to azsba.org, and you can watch the whole webinar, and it's got some great ideas on how to engage the community and how to get the word across as to what your message is and kind of how to focus that message. So I wanted to pass that on in case the topic should come up in the future. And I wanted to also let everybody know that I'll be representing Maricopa and the state of Arizona in Alaska tomorrow for our Northern Pacific Regional National School Board Conference. So there will be a lot of talk about the federal legislative issues that are coming down, because they do want to make some changes on funding for IDEA. And so there's some things that we need to get involved in. So I'm looking forward to bringing that information back. And I'll be back Tuesday, and I'll have all kinds of stuff for you. So that's it.
I don't have any report. I have nothing. Tori and I we went to the Summer Leadership Institute, or conference, that is put on by ASBA a couple weeks ago. And the conference is always a good conference, and one of the things that I took out of it and that we'll be sharing when we get into doing our board goals is we need to do a better job of getting the community's input and getting them engaged. And one of the suggestions was, going to school sites and trying to engage parents and community members at their neighborhood school instead of trying to get them to come to a board meeting. So that was really prevalent in a lot of the workshops that I went to, was getting the engagement of the community, especially if we are going to be looking at some sort of an override in the future. So it was good conference. I'm glad we were able to go. Hopefully that next year all of us will be able to participate in more of these.
I have one more thing. Can I jump in?
Okay.
I just remembered. I didn't write it down. Arizona School Board Association's theme this year is Heroes of Public Education. And so, obviously, President Coutret's wearing her shirt. I was supposed to, and I chickened out because I haven't bedazzled it yet. But one of the things that we're doing this year is we know that there are a lot of heroes in public education, and it doesn't just take administrators or teachers or school board members, but it takes all of the other support staff. You can't have a school without our bus drivers and our maintenance people and some of our food service workers. So all of those different things that contribute to a successful student's education and to a high excelling district, which we know that's our goal, is to be an A district. So one thing we're doing, and so I wanted to put this into the board members, I'm taking applications for any it needs to be not a certified staff. It needs to be a classified staff member, or it could be a parent who has been just a rock star in our community. So if you will, I will send you the application. I think you should have gotten it from ASBA, but if you didn't, I will send it to you. But it would be nice for us to pick and submit those, and because then we'll be presenting those heroes of public education at our September law conference. So it's coming up quick, but well, maybe they decided to do this in December. I'll check. But I know the deadline is September 1. Okay. I did know that. So if you have somebody out there that you want to nominate, send it to us. Let us know. But there's a lot of people who contribute to our successful students. Not that teachers and administrators and board members don't do that, but it does take everybody. Our secretaries, Lisa, even our newspapers. So anybody who really supports MUSD, I think it would be great if we could submit, lots of applications and see what gets picked. So anyway, I think that's important for us to do. Okay, now I'm done.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Great stuff. All right, let's move on to our work study. Do we have any work study items? Awesome. We're just cooking through this. All right, consent agenda. Do I have any motions?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, and then we're going to 6C, the minutes from the June 9th Governing Board meeting. And we pulled that off because Mrs. Melvin was not in attendance. Do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And one abstention. Right?
And one abstention.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. 7A, personnel schedule. Mr. Beckett.
Hello? Yes. Yep. Thank you. Thank you, President Coutret, members of the board. You have the personnel schedule in front of you tonight, and Dr. Chestnut obviously in his informational slides did mention I can answer some other questions related to personnel matters in terms of hiring. So If you have any questions about the list or if there's specifics you want to talk about, I'm more than willing to take those questions.
Any questions? No, I don't have any. How close are we to filling those 16 positions?
We're working on it. I just want to, I mean, I could run through a grocery list of things that we've done this year to kind of drum up candidates for the pool. But our primary concern at this point in time will be in the areas of special education. We have 4 life skills positions open at this point in time, and we have 3 science positions. We're looking at 2 different strategies at this point in time. In particular, well, 3 really. The finder's fee, we just initiated that. We actually picked up a staff member from that initiative. From one of our elementary teachers was able to send us somebody, and so she'll be getting a nice little check at the end of the contract period for that employee. But we're also using 2 other agencies. We have one contracted service that we actually work directly with special education placements, and Maria Sapelli has been working directly with that group. They do provide some contracted services, so they're looking for us for some candidates to possibly fill those life skills roles. We're also looking at a national and an international firm that actually brings in some foreign nationals from other countries. They have terrific backgrounds in subject area. Some of the pedagogical skills they're still working on, but they do offer some alternatives for that, and we're working through a group called USA Employment that may also offer some opportunities for us to fill some slots with some of those openings. So those are a couple strategies we're still in work on. We've got posted all over Arizona, it seems like, and as well, and so we're hopefully that we'll be able to fill those slots, though.
And I know the answer to this question, but we are not alone as a district in this teacher
Shortage?
And,
I was thinking 16 isn't bad.
No,
I'm
that's
like,
and,
wow. I mean, no, because I've talked to the other board members, the other school districts, and some of them have
yeah.
like 100.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too sensationalistic here, but if you saw the Washington Post article on, I believe the phrase Dr. Chestnut was leaving in droves from the state of Arizona. We are fortunate. We're looking at about a 15% attrition rate this year for the district, and we have had 25% sometimes leave the district in the past. And so we're cautiously optimistic that we're going to be able to start the year fully staffed, and I know our principal's been working hard to make that happen.
Mr. Beckett, could you talk a little bit about the things you've done this year to recruit? Because
Sure.
I think it's a pretty long list.
Sure, yeah, and I don't want to bore you, but you know, we started this effort back in December. My first recruitment was actually at Grand Canyon University. We began also by posting some generic things in January. We started recruiting, especially for our elementary slots, special education, math, and science. I participated in 3 out-of-state recruitment fairs, 1 in Pennsylvania, 1 in Minnesota, 1 in Oregon. One of the byproducts was that we actually were able to establish a partnership agreement with Clarion University in Pennsylvania, which will actually be sending some student teachers to us. They'll be able to come in, teach. Hopefully they'll find a comfort zone here, and we'll be able to retain them as a full-time staff member. So we're looking to establish more of those kind of partnerships, and it's just one of the byproducts that we do whenever we go out of state. We did 7 in-state career fairs, including the Great Arizona Teach-In, which is kind of the equivalent of the out-of-state job fair that I went to for Arizona. We've had the openings posted on Arizona Department of Education job board. Our own website, whenever you put up the job posting there, it actually links then to a national search engine called SchoolSpring. And it's part of our subscription service for our online application service, so it's a terrific opportunity for us to get that out. And again, it's seamless. We post here, and it's already posted nationally. So it's a good deal. Also, we're listed in a number of Arizona University job boards, NAU, GCU, ASU, Arizona, Rio Salado. In addition, we're also offering signing bonuses to those high-need areas. We're offering $2,000 signing bonuses for highly qualified teachers in those areas. Anything to get a carrot out there to get them in the door, that's what we're trying to do at this point in time. I mentioned a little bit earlier about the finder's fee. Once again, we're seeing some traction on that. I think that could be something that we could use as a strategy for in future years as well. And then I did talk about the 2 different contract service agencies we're also working at this point in time to kind of seal the deal. So I also have a classified job fair that I'll be going to at Harris, the Arizona Workforce Connection. actually will be hosting that out there, and we're hoping to pick up some odds and ends for staffing, and that's in July.
What is our staffing situation with our classified? How many positions are we looking to fill for that?
And I'm honestly, I don't have that information in front of
Okay.
me, but I know that's oftentimes very volatile, especially when you get down to our paraprofessional positions. There is some attrition that happens, and sometimes we have to wait until school starts to see who shows up in some of those roles. But for the most part, we're doing well there.
And our transportation department? I know last year we kind of struggled with getting bus drivers.
Actually, I think we should be set and ready to go. I believe we have some substitutes that we're interviewing at this point in time, but I believe we're fully staffed with drivers and aides.
Great. Any other questions? Any motions? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Beckett.
Thank you.
7B, discussion of the proposed 2015-16 maintenance and operation and district additional assistance budgets. Dr. Chestnut, I take it you're taking the reins on these.
Yes, I am. It's a new requirement in the state of Arizona that we review this information, and in a specific way, which I'll get to in a moment. We always review budget information, and this is a good overview and really the last chance for the governing board to comment or request changes. We plan to bring you a budget for adoption at our July 8th meeting, and so that'll finalize our budget process. Wanted to start by showing you the pie chart from the Arizona Office of the Auditor General, and this is for the 13-14 school year. There's always a little bit of a lag time. These are the most recent numbers that are available from the Office of the Auditor General, and it really just shows classroom and non-classroom support. The 47% piece of the pie there, that's instruction, teachers in classrooms, and that's the biggest piece of the pie. The Auditor General's office refers to the rest of the pie as non-classroom, and that includes administration, plan operations, food service, transportation, student support, and instructional support. But I do want to make a couple points, and that is that I think oftentimes people think we have, instruction, classroom, and then we have administration. Well, we also have about 5 other categories, and our administrative expenses are under 10%. So that's really the way that breaks down, 47% for classroom and 53% for non-classroom. Hopefully, in future years, we can reverse those numbers. And that would be one advantage of passing an override. Overrides typically focus most dollars on classrooms and teachers, and that would allow us to do that. And that's one reason why the rest of the state, most other districts have reversed figures. Most other districts in the state are above 50% in classroom dollars because most of them have an override in place. I do want to make the point, though, concerning the operational area definitions. This is also from the Arizona Office of the Auditor General. So those are the 6 other areas besides instruction and what it includes. So administration doesn't just include the salary and benefits for me, but also all central office administrators, central office clerical and accounting staff, all printing costs, all governing board expenses. And so it's a pretty long list. Obviously, we couldn't run a school district without a business department, a payroll department, human resources department. So that's a big part of what we do. Student support, I highlighted some things in red because I think it's pretty obvious that you can't run classrooms without counselors and nurses, and speech pathologists are good examples of people that really have a direct impact on the classroom. Likewise, with instructional support, our academic coaches, our librarians are very much involved with supporting the teacher, supporting the classroom, the activities that go on there. And likewise, in plan operations security is an important part of our schools. We have our school resource officers at the 3 secondary schools, but then we also have about 3 classified staff, security officers at Maricopa High School. They play an important role in supporting what goes on in the classroom, getting kids to class on time, and making sure we have good discipline, working with the assistant principals and that kind of thing. So it's a long list of things that we have to cover to run a school district, and that's how it's defined in our state. Also, we often hear the criticism that we just spend way too much on administration, and it's not true. In the state of Arizona, we spend far less than the national average. The national average is $1,160 per student. In the state, we spend $757 per student, and in Maricopa Unified School District, we spend less than that, $683 per student, and that included all of the items that I mentioned. So we are staffed, I think, effectively, but we are lean in administrative staffing, and I think those numbers show it. Our peer districts, districts of about our size, are even higher than the state average. So I think we have an efficient administrative operation. Another issue that's hanging out there, I mentioned this last time, but I want to make sure that people are aware of it, and that is the possible repayment of district-sponsored charter funding. Over the last 2 years, we've received $4.6 million in additional funding for district-sponsored charter schools. That funding stream ends on June 30th of this month. And the legislature, I believe, intended, since they ended the contracts, to not have us repay those funds, but that was not included in the final bill language. So as far as I know, this hasn't been corrected yet. It needs to be, and I expect that it will be, but we'll keep you posted on that issue. Okay, this is the required part, something new this year. We are required to go over our maintenance and operation budget and District Additional Assistance Fund budget highlights. The proposed M&O budget is $33,559,000 with a transfer of $467,000 of District Additional Assistance monies into the M&O fund to support the M&O budget for 5 additional teaching positions and several other things. And this has been our tradition for a number of years, is that we typically have to make that transfer from District Additional Assistance, which in a perfect world we would only spend on things like maintenance, projects, capital projects of different types. But to keep our staff employed and hire the additional teachers we want to hire, we do have to transfer some of those monies into our M&O budget. And Mr. Roush has been doing that for several years, and it's really become a necessity statewide that most districts are doing that now. And so that transfer will occur during the school year and is budgeted in the budget that you will adopt in 2 weeks. All of the 2014-15 generated DAA monies will be used for operations. So in other words, we are transferring additional DAA monies, carryover monies from previous years. Number 3, the percentage for the proposed budget current expenditures by function are instruction 49%. So we were at 47, right? So this is Mr. Roush's estimate. It is on the front page of the proposed budget that was adopted. It's kind of a newly highlighted area. And that's not an official number until the Arizona Auditor General Office blesses it in about 2 years. But we hope that that is where we will end up. We think it's an improvement and a good sign, and we hope that that number does hold up. And so if you, these things are never easy to spot, but if you looked at your proposed budget cover sheet that we adopted 2 meetings ago, these numbers were on the front page, and that's a new thing, is to list these 3 areas. And why they don't list all 7 areas, I don't know. But if you add all 7 areas in, this is what Mr. Roush is estimating those 7 different categories would look like to equal the 100% of the pie. And we think that administrative expense will actually go down a bit also. But once again, these are preliminary estimates. And the good news of the whole thing is that we do believe we'll be spending more on classroom and instruction and less on the other pieces of the pie. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions or comments.
I just have a quick comment. I want to thank you, Dr. Chestnut, and your team for all the work you put into the budget. I realize how difficult it is to increase classroom spending when we're not getting an increase in funds, but you guys worked hard and found some areas where you could cut and invested that into the classroom and into our teacher salaries so that we could fix our salary schedules to make it workable. And I really commend you guys for all the hard work you did, and I think it's going to be beneficial to our teachers and our students and our district going forward. So thank you very much for that.
Do you have questions? Oh. When, I know this is on our agenda tonight for the public comment, when do we need to approve this as a board, the DAA funds going into?
Right. The transfers are budgeted, are listed in the budget document, and so essentially, when you adopt the budget, the next governing board meeting, you'll be approving this budget plan.
This doesn't need any action item because it's lumped into the budget that we
Right.
already,
Right, this is just the governor has asked it to
Right.
be defined like this, and this is new this year. There's also talk on trying to get the Auditor's General report to reflect what true classroom dollars are, because
Right.
the way that the report is written now, and this was a big discussion in our conference at Flagstaff, the way that it's written now does not truly reflect what's really done in the classroom, and because this is an old reporting mechanism. So there is talk of redoing that. The reason I ask when it has to be approved is because I would like to see what 14-15's DAA and all the breakdown as what the pie chart. I know that Aaron gave us 13-14, and now he's predicted what 15-16 will be. Is there a way to see that before we have to approve it? I mean, I would like to see his, because he's got to know what the pie chart is for 14-15.
Yeah, he can make an estimate. He
For 15-16.
well, you mean compared this new budget year compared to this current year? That's
Yes.
what you're saying.
Because this is the Auditor's
Yeah.
General report. I would
Right.
like to see what our actuals were for 14-15.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he can get that done. I mean, he can put it in a pie chart.
Yeah, he can do that, and
Okay.
he would have had that today, but he went on vacation today.
Oh, vacation smation. No, I'm just kidding.
But I know that he'll be happy to provide that for
Okay.
the next meeting. It'll be an estimate, but
That's all I want. I just want an estimate, because he knows more than the Auditor General how we truly spend our money. So, I mean, I would like, well, he does. I would like to see what 14-15 is, so that we can have a true comparison, because 13-14 really doesn't. Yeah.
Right.
And we've made a lot of changes. And so I think, 14-15 will be a big difference. So I would just like to see the in-between.
Sure, we can bring that for the next meeting.
Thank you. That's all I want.
okay. Well, there's no action needed on this item. So we're going to move to 7C, which is the public hearing to discuss the district plans for the 2015-16 proposed maintenance and operation M&O and district additional assistant DAA budgets. Is there anybody that would like to speak?
Which is what we just talked about, so if you have a comment
Question?
on the funds.
Nope. Okay. I'm going to close that public hearing. All right. I'm going to read all of the next 5 items, since they all pertain to going into executive session. So, and then we can all motion and vote on all of them at once. Okay. 7D, approve to adjourn to executive session pursuant to ARS 38431. The board may convene to hold an executive session for the discussion or consultation for legal advice from the board's attorney regarding student discipline matters. 7E, approve to adjourn to executive session pursuant to ARS 15843. The board may convene to an executive session to consider and take action on a student disciplinary matter. Item 7F, approve to adjourn to executive session pursuant to ARS 15843. The board may convene in an executive session to consider and take action of a student disciplinary matter. 7G, approve to adjourn to executive session pursuant to ARS 38431. The board may convene to hold an executive session for the discussion or consultation for legal advice from the board's attorney regarding a student retention appeal. And the last one, 7H, approve to adjourn to executive session pursuant to ARS 431. The board may convene to hold an executive session and consider and take action on a student retention appeal. Do I have a motion?
Yes. Motion to approve to go into executive session for Items 7, D, E. My alphabet. I was reading something else. F and G to discuss,
H.
and H to discuss with our attorney and appeals and student expulsions.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now in executive session. It is 7:06.